from Fortune 500 companies to smaller startups or just people at home running their own small businesses, it's really challenging to keep up with what's possible and how to adapt to it. How is your role changing with the rapid advance of AI within Microsoft and just globally?
These big companies bringing out the model every other day. We hear from the
Ravi Shankar Goli is a principal software engineering manager at Microsoft with 17 plus years of experience delivering enterprise applications. He combines expertise in AI, cloud, IoT, and enterprise systems to lead high-impact projects across fintech, supply chain, and retail. A former Indian Air Force technician during the 1999 Kargil War, Ravi brings discipline, vision, and a passion for innovation to every mission.
How do you ensure trust in that? There's a balance between full human programming and then fully autonomous programming. And there's something like with an augmentation.
You need to be aware of what you are doing. They lift the heavy lift just to do all the things, but it's not that he gave you and you accept it and go forward. You have to be very careful. Do this by review it, understand what it's doing. The first time I used these image cognitive APIs from Google and Microsoft to prove that my daughter looks like me more than my wife.
Did that end well for you? You're still alive. That's a good thing. There isn't any.
It's an interesting story actually.
Before we jump into today's episode, I want to share something that's going to help you elevate your AI strategy. The 2025 AI Governance Benchmark Report from ModelOP investigates why enterprises struggle to scale AI innovation, provides a roadmap to overcome these challenges, and will show you how your AI governance practices compare with industry peers. It's free and only takes a second to download. The link is in the description. Don't miss out. Welcome to the Good Decisions Podcast, the podcast about pivotal moments that shape careers, technologies, and the human decision-making behind AI. Today's guest is Ravi Shankar Goli, the lead principal software engineering manager for Microsoft's Copilot for Finance, Product, and Solutions. Ravi's journey spans continents with experience in the Indian Air Force, global consulting project with Accenture, engineering leadership and AI at Microsoft. Ravi has 3 master's degrees, the most recent in AI and machine learning, and he is heavily involved with technology mentorship, including Microsoft's technology education and learning support, computer science outreach program. Ravi, it's great to have you here. Welcome to Good Decisions. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for having me here.
Fantastic. Let's start with a quick introduction. Can you tell us a little about yourself and your current role at Microsoft and what exactly a lead principal software engineering manager does?
So it's like any typical engineering manager leading a Copilot projects as of now in the generative AI space. Recently, I shifted from other technology to the Copilot's generative AI, and we are building these awesome Copilots. My project specifically focusing on the finance domain, helping the finance professionals and increasing their productivity with the help of generative AI. So yeah, I lead a team of two features. We have 2 features within the product, and I lead the technical team there, mostly focusing on engineering.
Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty powerful technology. And I've used Copilot several occasions, and what it can do week to week is just amazing. Every week. Yeah. And that the speed is so hard to keep up with, even somebody in the industry. And so I think, folks that, from Fortune 500 companies to smaller startups or just, people at home running their own small businesses, it's really challenging to keep up with what's possible and how to adapt to it. So how is your role changing with the rapid advance of AI within Microsoft and just globally? How do you as a leader stay ahead of some of these groundbreaking technologies and incorporate them into the products and architecture? It's got to be a huge challenge.
It is. It is. It's the super challenging, more than the industry, I would say. The outside people who see that, oh, we released this one and say, but for us, even a step ahead, even before that goes out, we have to understand what is coming. These big companies bringing out the model every other day. We hear from the OpenAI, Anthropic, and from other part of the globe, new models are coming up. And when we started this project a year and a half ago, we have some understanding what we can do, and we venture into certain direction, and all of a sudden we hit a road, blocks, or a wall. And at the same time, the space is changing every other month. It's too difficult to cope up with it. It's a challenging, but you're doing pretty good job. I'm right place, right team, awesome team I have, and we are learning fast, adapting fast, and doing.
Yeah, and how large is your team? Just as an engineering manager, how many folks are on your team?
We have 24 members team, only core team I'm talking about. We have supporting and other thing like any big companies will have the when it comes to governance, ethics, security, policies. I'm not counting all those ecosystem, and we have business analysts and project managers. And apart from that, we have.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's the direct team, and then like you mentioned, all the teams, especially with AI, it's important to have from a responsibility perspective, ethical perspective, all those teams involved. Do you have I don't know a managerial framework or decision making framework that allows you to figure out how to bring in new technology into your engineering process, but at the same time doing the things that check all the boxes for all these different teams? Like it's a really challenging managerial problem.
If I understand question correctly, the bringing the technology to the product or the releasing the product to the outside.
Yeah, I think it kind of both. Like, is there I'm kind of interested in kind of your if you have a managerial framework or decision making framework that allows you to just given the speed of the technology, how quickly Microsoft has to get product out. How are you making decisions in concert with info security, compliance, your engineering team on what can be, added into the product, just from either a roadmap perspective, priority perspective? How do you make those decisions to do things the right way while getting products out quickly?
That's interesting question. Yeah, definitely. The advantage being in companies like Microsoft thing is that we have advantage what is coming and access to these big tech, generative AI models and everything. But we are equivalently very careful about these ethics, right? Like security, compliance, responsible AI. We cannot go fast like any small startups go quickly. We have to really, really, really careful there. So the decision while we are even thinking about the product, these ethics and responsibility is part of the our decision making at the beginning itself. Uh, we know we have to do these steps. The problem we are facing now is that the model changes, the hallucination style changes, getting breaking, and all these things changing, and our responsible team they changes their framework. Challenging for me is that my team need to understand these and get the check boxes fast. But yeah, it's a learning process. Apart from innovation and developing the core product, going through this process is not easy, but that's necessary. That's for the customers and very important for our end customers and users.
Yeah, and with as Microsoft, your end customers and users span from individuals to the biggest companies in the world and governments. And so then I would imagine the needs, especially related to Gen AI and risk management, are so vastly different, especially with Fortune 500 companies. Like you're creating a finance product, but I imagine a lot of financial services and banks also use these products. How do you incorporate regulatory or agency guidance like OCC's SR 11.7? And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that particular guidance from the Federal Reserve. But how do you make sure that your product can serve both those biggest in the world customers and the smallest ones, and make sure that it's done with the right regulatory guidance?
Very important question, I would say. Two parts, right? One is the regulatory and responsibility checklist that I want to done with my product. But generative AI has on top of that additional problem of these, whether it is doing the things it's supposed to do. And when it comes to finance, it's even complex because these models are very good at understanding user context and the user what they want to do, but they're not as good as with the numbers and mathematics when you want to do. Financial is all about number. If you put one extra zero, the 10 millions becomes 100 millions. And you cannot say completely dependent on these things, how you got profit of 90 million extra, right? So that 1 0 will cause. So we are very, very careful. We understand how these the space is, generative space, what it can do, what it cannot do. And we take a hybrid approach, take the generative help, understand what user want to do, where you want to go, and take the context from. And we use heuristics models or predictive systems and combine those, marry those, and make sure it is 100% right, almost 99, right? Especially the numbers, there is no probabilistic thing, whether it is right or wrong. 9 is 9, 8.9 we don't want. So that is one thing that mighty responsible, 100%. We make sure it is working perfectly with the numbers and the finance from it. Then the regulatory and compliance things, we have good teams to help us go through. I don't know full inside of the thing. It's similar to what we used to do. Yeah, you may know, like we have these things, GDPR and other things that we do, HIPAA. So now we have this AI regulators on top of it, and the team helps it. We aware of it. Our teams need to know the surface level, what the testing we have to do, what the evaluation frameworks. We have evaluation framework in place. We evaluate, we test everything, whether it is hallucination, jailbreaking, quality, huge hundreds of test cases we run. We have evaluation numbers, get out. Then there is a team to sign off all this. It's very important. It's as an engineer, it's a painful process. It is necessary. One thing on the regulators and regulations is that in a way it feels hurdle, but in a way it is good for us for product. The reason is that if they don't have a centralized regulation, everybody will say my quality benchmark is this one. OpenAI will say something, Anthropic will say something, and everybody come up will say, and there is no centralized a regulated team that say that hey, you have to go through this checklist, right? So that helps us everybody follow a single regulatory, single policies. We still evaluate the species like not GDP, like GDPR. We have a very matured system, and this space is just started, but governments are creating, society is creating, and eventually it will come with a place that it is centralized, managed regulations. And for us, I just need to follow that regulator instead of going at 7 or 10 different regulations. Right? But that's the advantage, but it's changing every other day.
Yeah, having the certainty in policy, across geos, teams, business units, products has got to be so critical because I mean, otherwise you're chasing a moving target, and like you said, everybody doesn't have that standard to hold themselves either accountable to or what the right checklist is. I mean, regulations are nothing new for technology, but as you've gone maybe from more traditional software engineering to engineering that it involves a variety of AI methods and techniques, has there been one, I guess, particular challenge that has stood out from a either development standpoint, regulatory standpoint, that has been really challenging or has required you to learn a new set of skills as you went from more deterministic type engineering to probabilistic type engineering? Is there one big challenge that kind of maybe keeps you up at night or has been really hard for you to overcome?
Well, I think you hit the nail. That's the biggest challenge we face day out from this deterministic to probabilistic. How we prove that the space is infinitive, right? We don't know how the end user is going to use this product. It's so complex. Based on talking to some customers, some business enterprises, we get some information, but there are thousand other customers and users are there. We don't know how they are going to use it. So we come up with some near perfect, try to be near perfect evaluation frameworks, all those questions that, hey, these are the questions. And out of these 1,000 questions, if you do 950, then we are good, or 900, we are good. But when we go as a private preview or something, then the customer he has some specific scenario which is may not work, right? So that's definitely new learning for me for last 2 years. And on top of that, we have these red teamings. Maybe you heard about it. I need to train my team. They say red teaming is important. How important? What kind of testing you need to do compared to the previous. This deterministic system is easy. You can just write test cases 100%, and it's the right or wrong, failed or false. But here is a evaluation framework. Challenging. We are learning. I'm lucky we are at the right place. We have a lot of support from my company, and we are changing. It's a moving target, but it is. So we are doing pretty good.
Are you in Microsoft in general? I know your CEO has talked about using generative AI to help programmers create code more effectively, more efficiently. Is your team using generative AI tools to help create these Copilot tools? And if so, how are you doing it?
You mean using the AI coding, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, using whether something with GitHub or with any of the variety of tools that are out
Yes,
there.
we do day in, day out. I use in fact, my day starts with GitHub Copilot. We have so many other tools. Everybody have their favorite. I like GitHub Copilot for everything, not just coding. Being a developer, coming from developer background, I write technical document using the GitHub Copilot. I brainstorming using GitHub Copilot. I like it's very easy compared to any other product out there. For me, even ChatGPT or anything, it's so simple that you can highlight a part. Tell me this one. I want to only make these changes, and I speak actually mostly. They don't type it nowadays. So I open it up. Whole day I'm using that GitHub Copilot, but my team use different tools, but we have full access. Specifically coding, yes, we are using a lot.
And how do you ensure trust in that? I mean, obviously, there's a balance between full human programming and then fully autonomous programming. And there's, something like with an augmentation, it's a tool that can help you. How do you ensure that what you're writing is trustworthy and doing exactly what you want it to do? How do you ensure that?
If I learned in last 2 years is that generative AI coding is the simplest thing to solve. First, it increases your productivity, say 60%. That's what I saw. It is like 10x software engineer kind of, we can say. When I say it is coding is easy to solve, the history of software, like 30, 40 years, if you take, we matured enough that we have all these unit tests, integration tests, end-to-end tests, and we have all these frameworks to evaluate the code that you generated. Now it's very easy for me if I know the scenario. The GitHub Copilot generated a code. I take a look at, then I ask to write the test cases. I know my scenario. If all the test cases scenarios are passing or not. That gives me 95%, 90% confident that the code is doing good because I know these 50 test cases. They are either pass or fail. The code is done what it's supposed to do. That's the beauty of this vibe coding. There is a framework in the place that to prove that your code is working compared to any other kind of text-based interaction. One output can be 10 variations, right? I speak different, like you different output. So that's I would say GitHub Copilot coding proving that it's doing its work.
And so maybe it was moving to something a little more hot button or controversial, the topic of vibe coding. I know some people have very differing views on this, and in light of some kind of public failures, like with Replit deleting a production database the other week, I'm curious what your opinion is on vibe coding. Is there a right way to do it? Is there a wrong way to do it? Should it be used at all? Just love your thoughts on it.
Before I talk about, let me share one personal experience. When I came to Microsoft, my first team, this one new person joined from the college, just out of college. We have a process in place at Microsoft called Jet in Time Access in the production systems, right? And there is some expectation is some expertise on the product seniors will have access, and even those will not have access to those systems unless there is a problem in the production, right? Somebody has to approve, they get an access, they go, they do the investigation, and their access will be revoked in 12 hours or 6 hours. And that's what software follow every operational teams and big companies. But this person unknowingly deleted production database. It's a save zero, like alarm on every leadership phones, right? Like you deleted
Whoa.
a business scenario. Uh,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
that's the only time I got a save zero ticket so far in my experience in that. But interesting thing is that we jumped on it. Luckily, we have backups and we restored. It took 6 hours, so hard to do what is missing and everything. That's all visual process. The question comes why this person has unlimited access. How it's not the person's not, it's not mistake, it's his managers and the chain of process is at fault. It's a saying when it comes to even these coding the deleted thing. Um, there is systems in place, whether AI frameworks and things that what to do, what not to do. For example, when I write this vibe coding, I have these policy set up in for my project. Never execute delete command. Never execute remove command. And if you have that to delete even a file, rename it to backup. Tell me, hey, this is I want to do this when you go and delete it. So I can put those policies. These are all frameworks that there. If somebody thinking that it have Copilot write code and do everything end to end, we are not there at. Still, humans should be in the loop. It's for sure increasing our productivity 10x. That doesn't mean that we don't need human in the loop. That's not what we want. We still experienced persons. The process of evaluating what it is doing, should we give this access or not? Those are all still we have to take care of. So I don't know the depth what exactly happened with the Replit thing. I would say the people who set up that system is at fault than the these tools.
Panic-inducing story. I think anytime you go through something like that, I've had a couple instances in my career where there might have been, not here at ModelOP, but at previous companies where, there might have been a hack or something, and you find out that news and your heart drops and everything of you go into, how do we fix this and the current situation, and then how do you put the controls in place longer term so something like that never happens again. I'm curious, with your background in the Air Force, and I do want to get back to vibe coding, but just on this controls process, are there lessons or skills that you've brought from the Air Force into Microsoft or into your past roles that have helped really put stronger controls in place? Obviously, in the Air Force, you're dealing with more life and death situations, but still, with Microsoft being so prevalent, the consequences of something going wrong are real. How do you, I guess, make sure? What lessons have you brought from the Air Force to ensure that you have kind of military grade controls to make sure the product is doing the right thing, or you don't have somebody deleting a database?
It's an interesting experience for me, especially. There is pros and cons, I would say, right? As you mentioned, in the military, in Air Force, sometimes there is no scope for failure. Life and death questions. In the exercises we do, even there is no reward. Always, if we do such a way that there is a war, the accuracy, no failure, perfect systems. That experience gave me kind of advantage and disadvantage, I would say. When I first started in Air Force, I always wanted a perfect system to develop. I think too much about failures and I go that makes me analysis paralysis. I think that goes slow sometimes. And it took me a while to understand, hey, you need not to be really perfect. 60-70% is okay. Then move fast, take the feedback, come back, and then pivot. That
Yeah.
it's not life and death. But depends on project to project, Jay. It's not always it's a generic enterprise project, which is not with any enterprise product is okay. But let's say you are in a healthcare product and you need to be really careful. What are the chances that it is giving wrong information? How much accuracy you want it? You don't want to take a 60% accuracy and go, okay, let's see if it works or not and give it to them. So it's a domain specific healthcare, even financial things that I'm working. There I do think about that long term impact and where it can go wrong and the long horizon thing. Though it makes slows down, I will talk to my seniors, understand, hey, this is what it is. It takes a long time and we have to do. We cannot go like 60% of the product. That's the advantages I got
Yeah.
from the military background.
I want to go back to vibe coding because I don't think you answered my initial question on it before you give me your anecdote. Um, but vibe coding, do you see it as a fad, or is there a right time to use it or a wrong time to use it? I'm just kind of again, I know it's controversial, but would love your insight on when is the right time to use it, when is the wrong time to use it, and do you see it sticking around for the long term?
There is no right or wrong. Everybody should use, I would say. At the same time, I am also opposing there is some of the CEOs, there's some of the internet gurus says that it is going to replace software engineer. It's going to do everything and it is the new thing. Those I strongly oppose. I strongly oppose that, hey, it's going to replace all software engineering. At least we are not there at. I do advanced vibe coding, not just GitHub Copilot. I use Cloud Code for my personal cursor, and I windsurf. I'm trying all these things, see which one is doing how, where industry is going. I'm trying to understand. In my experience in last 6 months is that it is doing pretty good job. I highly recommend everybody should use it to increase their productivity. But believing that it is going to solve all your problems, no. If you don't have the fundamentals, foundations, you don't know what to ask for my coding. End of the day, the engineer or even non-engineer, if you don't know what he want, where he want to go, he cannot ask the right questions. It looks simple. Some people say that, okay, it create a website, one prompt, it do that simple.
Yep.
But enterprise products are way complex. It is, I would say, more complex than self-driving. Self-driving, single point of failure. Maybe one vehicle get into problem or we can stop it. But enterprise application goes down, it has a big impact. So my point is, it is real. It is doing pretty good job. At the same time, expecting it is replaces software engineering. It can do everything. It still hallucinate when you do end-to-end testing. You don't understand your applications better. You are the one who need to tell it. You are the one who give the input about architecture, solution, what to use, what not to use. Without that, not everybody can become expert. Basically, without foundations, not everybody can go to complete an enterprise project, right? That still software is required. That expertise is required. I can share a quick anecdote. Recently, I shared with one of my conference, vibe coding conference, if I, and that's fine.
I'd love it. Yeah,
Okay.
please.
This is a real incident happened with me, 2017 actually, when I got these glasses. I was at office one day, and that week, actually, whole week, I got my eyes are flickering and kind of headache kind of thing and thing. Then I consulted the doctor. Diagnosis, I said a brain tumor. I was super scared. Didn't tell anybody at home. I consulted again, and it's always the same answer. It's a brain tumor. Who is the consultant doctor? It's a Google. I did a search the Google, and it came back and said that you have a brain tumor.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right. We have asked doctor at the campus. I was super scared. I went there. You don't have any problem. He explained and everything. And I told him that what I did. And he did search in front of me. He didn't say brain tumor. So I was thinking, what is the difference between him and me? He has a fundamentals, foundations. You know what to ask. He has that professional knowledge. For me, as no experience in the medicine, I just asked, my brain is doing this, my this thing, and it will say that, okay, you have this one. It's exactly same with the coding. If you don't know what to ask for, need to know those foundations. I failed in last 6 months many times. It is not doing. I think it will do it. If you don't have that one, pretty sure it's not going to solve your problem.
Somewhat terrifying, but I think a common story that I've heard, like WebMD has become the bane of doctors since it came out. And I'm sure ChatGPT is now doing the same thing to doctors, even though I know a lot probably are using it. But the kind of two things from what you just covered. One, there's vibe coding, there's the risk, right? Like for low risk use cases, like spinning up a website that's been done millions of times. All right, maybe that you don't need a ton of knowledge to do that. But when you get into the higher risk use cases, that foundational knowledge is so critical and nothing is going to replace that. And I think some of the criticisms of vibe coding is that, hey, you don't know how it's coding it. You don't know what the code is going to look like. You just based on the output. And if you don't have that foundational knowledge, like if something goes wrong, how are you going to debug it? How are you going to fix it, especially in a high risk use scenario? So what you've said, it really resonates, like that fundamental knowledge of the architecture of what to do has to be there. And it's such a good point in that, I mean, for your team, I obviously, you know, you're managing other engineers, and as their jobs change with AI, are you coaching them or giving them advice on how important the fundamentals are and how their job might change in the future? I'm just curious, like if the fundamentals are still so important, how does an engineer's job change going forward?
No, I always do talk about with my team at professional level. I encourage them to use the tool. At a personal level, even when I have one-on-one, I tell them, hey, apart from the project, apart from the thing, right? You need to be aware of what you are doing. AI lift the heavy lift, just you do all the things, but it's not that it gave you and you accept it and go forward. You have to be very careful. Do this swipe, review it, understand what it's doing, whether test cases for parsing everything. On top of that, you need to know the foundations of the feature and the tech stack that you are working on. Without that, you cannot move go far. You can start something,
Yeah.
but you go far. You cannot go far. So yeah, that's my one of the favorite thing to say. People, hey, please learn a little bit. Actually, take the AI help learn fast. Earlier, it was Stackflow and Google, search it, digest it, and analyze the data and learning. Now AI is a good tool to learn. Hey, explain this. What's happening here? Can you tell me the picture? Explain this with a diagram, or with a diagram. You do a pretty good job. What it did, it commits mistakes. You don't know it committing mistake, but you know when it tells that I did this one. So we have to use it and go forward.
Got it. Is that one of the reasons you went back and got a third master's degree, like just to continue learning on the I mean, it's not necessarily fundamentals at that point. It's it's advanced education, but that's a lot for anybody. How did you why did you go back for a third master's?
For some reason, I wanted to do AI for quite some time from the 2015, 2016. It's interesting story actually. For the first time, I used the image cognitive APIs from Google and Microsoft to prove that my daughter looks like me more than my wife because my so
How did that end? Did that end well for you? You're still alive, so that's
no,
a
I
good thing.
didn't
It
know
doesn't
that.
end with
Until I proved that I didn't know that she has probably a higher number of my features compared to my wife. But what happens is that when my side family will tell that she looks like me, and her side looks like our family tells that look like her. Then I
Of
used
course.
this image comparison API for the first time and gave my image and my wife's image and tell me this image how much resembles to the same. And it came 60 by 40 my wife's and Sam, see, it looks like me, not you.
I was just gonna say I'm impressed you're still with us here and that
Yeah. uh, so what happens is after that, I was curious, expert writing a software. I know how to do these predictions using a classic software. I have zero knowledge how this works. I don't know anything about it. And I start reading about it. Then it comes back to statistics and mathematics. So then I want to know a little more extra. And oh, this is a model that do these things, how this works. And I did a 2-hour certification course to understand. It's all mathematics. And I really liked it. Okay, looks cool. This technology looks cool. I want to maybe should go deep into that one. That's the first thing like in my mind. But I kept up with the AI progress since then. But 2021, even before GPT-3 came, actually there is an article came GPT-2 in Guardian. Actually, I shared that one. That was the main triggering point. I feel proud that I predicted what is coming. Um, uh, they released GPT-2, and one of these MIT student used that one to automate writing the blog in a hacking site and without telling that he's a human. And that blog become number one for a month. Later, he disclosed it is not me. It is written by robot. So that is the came in newspaper, I think, magazine. And I saw that one. Oh, this is changing very fast. If this is doing now, next 10 years, it is going to be a big change. Now I have to do some AI for sure. That's that year. I thought, okay, no more thinking. It's been already 4 years. I've been thinking. I started. It's coincidence. Soon after I started, within a year and a half, GPT-3, 2020 is November, I think. It's a revolution. The actual people got noticed, and it become a big crazy thing.
That's crazy. Did you have a similar epiphany or story when you first got into software or computers? Like, how did you first get in engineering? Were you always inclined to engineering, or was there somebody who introduced you to it? I know you're from Southern India, and just how that journey happened. I'm very, very curious.
I want to do engineering, higher studies, for sure. Not sure of computers for sure. That has an interesting instinct with Bill Gates and Microsoft, and that is what encouraged me to do software. I will share that. So, as you know, I serving in Air Force. I just completed my basic training and posted to one of the Eastern India air base, very remote area. Um, I just started my undergraduation BA mathematics at that time. I wanted to do higher studies. That motivation came from my mom. But I was doing BA mathematics. This one day I was on my secondary duty night shift, which you usually do a couple of times in a month. And my shift is in kind of a forest woods area. As you know, most military bases are isolated far away. Was at my post at 1:30 a.m. and I went to the nearby building for water. There I saw this computer cell we used to call EDP, Electronic Data Processing Unit in the Air Force. They're secure rooms generally. Somebody forgot to lock that room that day. I thought I will close and go to my post, but bit curious went inside and I saw there is this CRT 14-inch monitor sitting there, screen saver going on left to right. It is Windows 98. At that time, I have no clue. Windows, Microsoft, computer, Linux, any. I have no clue. That is the first time I came so close to the computer. 90 plus years, just completed my basic training. I think I touched some keyboard or mouse. Screen saver is gone. I was super scared. I thought I broke the computer. I pressed a few more buttons. This white pages open, written Microsoft Word 98 then, and we've been scared. Things happening. First time touching, no clue what it is. I was standing back thinking, what should I do? First, I shall not supposed to enter this room. On top of that, I broke the computer. Somebody knows my an report marshal or something. I don't know what will next day. I closed the door. I walked back while I'm going my post. That's the time I realized these are cool. I should know more about these computers. This is the time I read a lot about Microsoft and Bill Gates in the newspaper that he the richest man, no, healthiest man. So that's where I think, okay, I should learn these computers instead of my plan was to do the core electrical engineering, aeronautical aircraft engineering, because that's what I do at the Indian Air Force. But that shifted. The right started from there. I went to learn Microsoft Office, end up learning program language C. I fell in love with it and it continued. But yeah, that's how whole journey started with the software industry. Now it is very nostalgic seeing that guard duty night and now working for the Microsoft Office product. It's a interesting journey.
Wow. So, did you have a North Star? So, once you, hey, I need to learn more about this, you thought you broke a Windows 98 machine and Microsoft Word. Like, was that like, hey, I am going to follow this and get there someday, or is it? It was just more the inspiration. I'm just
Not at all. I have zero aspiration that I will one day work for the Microsoft. And even my immediate goal is to complete the goal, get a decent job, some company. Even I didn't dream of becoming a software engineer. The first thing, okay, I want to learn computers. It happened somehow. All I know, somebody told me, oh, you have to learn Microsoft Office. But when I went to that coaching center, they said, we offer the program language C. You want to learn? I said, okay, something is better than nothing. And I joined it. Then I continued understanding what is the language that guy actually convinced me that, hey, Microsoft Office is a product. This is the language which is created that whole computer, everything that happens inside the computer, this is the language that you do. Okay, that's it. He sold me. And I start learning all the languages and master degrees. How it started.
So you're just a very curious human being. It seems like same with the AI. Like, hey, I can compare my wife's picture and my picture. We can see who our daughter looks more like. Or hey, I should learn more about this. Like, there's something clearly you're very curious. Were you always like that, or was there something in your upbringing that kind of encouraged that? I'm just curious, nature versus nurture in your curiosity.
Don't know, Jay. But yeah, from the beginning, if anything that I feel cool, I want to learn that. But for sure, it's not like, okay, this is cool. I go. Even the music, I like violin music a lot. So then I tried it. That's my nature from the beginning.
Is that one of the reasons you're involved with Microsoft's TEAL? Like, are you trying to pass this curiosity on to students? And like, how come you're involved with that program?
I benefited in my career, though we talked about airports and software industry and Microsoft. But my journey from the village to even Air Force, it's something that up. So I got benefited from these mentors and organizations, like nonprofit. So I want to give it back to society wherever I live, whether it is back in India or here. That's the main reason. What I can do, computer science is my uh, strength for sure. Then I came to know many schools you don't have enough computer science teachers. That's surprised for me. In America has that problem. Uh, it is, oh, I thought he world's number one country also has these problems. So I think
Yeah, even in the Seattle
yeah,
area,
even in
right?
the Seattle area,
Again, you're at the epicenter.
epicenter, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, very, very near to my home, the schools don't have computer teacher, right? Then I found these TEALS. Okay, they support 100,000 schools around, 100,000 students so far. I think, and many schools over a period. I, I said, okay, this is a place I can go and at least do some difference.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. Just the whole journey with how quickly technology is moving to just, a simple open door can lead you on that journey story, but that sticking to something, that perseverance is often way harder than that, initial burst of energy. Like, how do you do this over time? And those little things that you do over time really, really add up. And if you can just get started and like have the confidence to come back, even though it doesn't necessarily come naturally to you originally, like that's such a good skill set to develop. And I think is often overlooked for folks, especially when technology is moving so fast.
You need to enjoy. You need to find joy and happiness. And when you're moving slow, you see that I can go there. Some people are smart, they work fast. Not everybody. I am not. But I know I can reach there on my own pace. And I don't take it out of pressure. The moment you feel it is stressful and not enjoying, then you will quit it. That's what happens. I see little bit happiness, enjoyment, and doing things what I want to do, small, small things. Once you have that joy, you find it, you will continue.
Thank you for that. So when you're celebrating or you're enjoying something after a hard decision or a hard project or challenge, is there a ritual that you have, whether it's a meal you cook, something you do with your family, or maybe a cocktail that you enjoy to celebrate a job well done or a good
Yeah,
decision?
definitely. I enjoy with my family, go out. One thing is that wine with my wife sometimes, our friends. That's one thing we do. Occasionally, go some road trip, take an RV. I like going 101 drive, especially from Seattle to San Francisco. Beautiful drive. Those kind of trips I
Yeah.
take.
But does your team have any rituals at Microsoft when you guys celebrate a release? Is there something you guys do to say thank you to everybody or get everybody excited for what's coming next?
Definitely don't do the retrospectives. I don't want to do immediately after the win. Uh, right. uh, Pause, right? Slow down. I pause myself. I don't ping anyone. What is the status? What is that status? And tell the team, let's slow down this week. Do things that you like, you want to do. let's celebrate the achievement we have. If possible, we go out, especially here in Red Band, we have a beautiful mini golf near to our campus. In fact, one of the most beautiful mini golf I ever saw in US. I've been many places like Dallas, Virginia, New York, but this is the most beautiful mini golf. So we go as a team there, celebrate.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, that Redmond area is pretty spectacular. And just being present, I think that's in tech where it does move so fast, taking the time to breathe and appreciate what has been accomplished, because it can feel ephemeral and changing so quickly. And to give people a thanks is really important. So thank you for sharing all of that. We covered a lot. It's been fantastic having you on the podcast, and thank you for all the wisdom and lessons and good decisions that you've made over your lifetime. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for having me.